Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Digital Chemical Playbook. Today, I'm extremely lucky to receive in our podcast Marcio Correia. Marcio Correia is the current CIO at dsm-firmenich in the food and nutrition business unit. I'm very happy to welcome you, Marcio. How are you? How is doing everything today?
Very good. It's Friday, so looking forward for the weekend. I hope you too, Florian. Nice to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you. And thanks for accepting that invitation. And yes, it's always good recording a podcast on the Friday because if you do it on the Monday, you have your to-do list that is full. You have to think about what you do next. On the Friday, the to-do list is still full, but at least you know that what comes next, it's family time and free time. So it's a good moment to chat and to have that discussion.
Very good. I agree with you.
So Marcio, as you know, in this podcast, we like to receive thought leaders coming from the life science and the chemical industry to discuss about digital transformation, also about AI transformation, from what is going on outside, what are the major trends, and also how we start having an impact within the companies. And one of the first questions I like to ask to our guest is what is the track record? What's the background experience that one has until becoming professional he is today? So maybe you can, for our audience, shortly introduce yourself and also explaining what was your journey until coming to that current position.
Very good. Happy to do that. Well, Portuguese born, where I did all my studies as information systems engineer. But was never, I like engineering, I like technology, but I was always at the brain very business focused, probably because my father had a small company and I was always involved on what he was doing. So for me, technology since the beginning was always a way to impact business, right? That was the angle when I started engineering on information systems, on technology was always I like technology if there's something bigger than just for the sake of technology. So worked in Portugal for 8 years after finishing studies. Some known companies in Portugal like Sonai, I'm sure. Yeah, DKSH is knows Sonai very well, and among other companies like consultancy on SAP and this type of things. And 2008, I did this Erasmus inter-student exchange program. Probably heard about, Florian.
Yes.
I did it in England. You also did? I did England. Where have you done it?
So I got a bit lucky because I think I did it a bit later, and there were some cross-region Erasmus programs. So it was no longer the European one, and I got a chance to move to Brazil, actually. And without preparing this episode, we were speaking a bit in Portuguese, and you might say, like, this guy is French, he's having a terrible Brazilian accent, so that might be the reason why, because of Erasmus.
But it was not for studying in Brazil, right?
It was studying. Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding.
I'm trying to convince a lot of people, but
yeah. So I was not as lucky as you. So I did that in 1999 and Leeds, England, and so Leeds is 1.5 hours from Manchester. So nowadays we all speak about Manchester and Manchester City, Manchester United. 1999 was a considerable different city.
It was a big club back on that time, no?
There was Leeds United, that's true. But it was an amazing experience, not because of the city or even the country itself, but the language, the interchange with other cultures, because Portugal, by that time, every school or every university was very Portuguese focused. It changed in the meantime. So that experience, since I did the Erasmus program, was something that I thought to myself, one day I will want to try and experiment something outside. So that's what happened 2008. So I resigned from Sonai and went to HP in Stuttgart in Germany.
Okay.
And that's it. And I never returned. So I've been 3.5 years in HP in Stuttgart, and then Syngenta, which is the you also know well, is the biggest company in the world on crop protection, and the third, I believe, on seeds. They were a customer of HP, and I had a lot of interactions with them, and they offered me a position in Basel, in Switzerland, and that's it. So I commuted 2.5 hours south to Switzerland, and never left, in fact, Switzerland. So I started 2011 there, worked in Syngenta for 13 years till 2024.
Yes.
Several roles, the head of the
Still
project
technology with business growth, right?
But even here you see a bit of the transition. Even in HP, I was already in charge. The role was SAP program lead, so it was already going a bit more in the direction of implementation, transformation, etc. Syngenta was more on project management and project portfolio management. So again, cross-functional, all the areas, you get a very good view across all the different areas inside the company.
Yes.
And later, I think we had this similarity also of the commercial transformation, right? At some point in time, I was also leading the Salesforce.com and the sales and marketing productivity for Syngenta. And that's it. So my last role in Syngenta was the regional CIO for EMEA.
Yes.
And in 2024, I got an invitation to move to dsm-firmenich, to become the Chief Digital and Information Officer of the Animal Nutrition and Health Division. Already with the challenge, and that was in fact one of the reasons why I moved. First, I remain in agriculture, which is an area that I'm very passionate about. You wake up every morning and you feel you have an impact on someone else's life.
Lives people, right?
Life people is food security, is before was corn and soy, now is animal protein in the dish of people that you cannot take it as granted. And together with that, the challenge of remaining in agriculture, which I wanted to, but also the challenge of a carve out. So animal nutrition and health was sold to was sold to private equity, CVC Capital Partners, and now we are in the process of the carve out. To close by the end of this year, and that's an experience I never had. So all of this interaction with potential buyers and due diligences and building your own team almost from scratch, and your system landscape and your processes and your data, and very interesting. And it's the type of things that it's
very transversal.
That is fully transversal. You touch the systems, the data, the process, the culture of the company. Yes. Now you become a total independent company. What's the culture? Well, what
does that mean, right?
What does it mean, right? With a proud legacy of DSM mainly, and a bit of influence already of Firmenich in the last years. But you want to absorb part of that legacy, but you want to build your own, right? And that's extremely interesting to me, is the type of thing that I was not thinking about, but when the opportunity came, I thought it's probably the right time to do this, because it's demanding. I can tell.
I can believe you. I mean, from the introduction you just gave, since that you've been running some big transformational project in big companies, also in different verticals. I would say. I mean, from that deep experience that is bringing you to manage the topic of carve out. My question is, what is the main challenge, right, on driving technological transformation in company at large scale, beyond the update of the technology, right? The technology we talked about today is not the same as yesterday, will not be the same as tomorrow. Also, you can have like an industrial, agricultural technology and so on. But beyond that, what's the main challenge when you want to run just a transformational project in such a big scale, in such a big company? I think many people in the audience ask themselves, I mean, not only what to do, but also where to start, and how to drive this on the long run.
Yeah, there's no secret recipe, right? So each company is a different human being, let's call it like that, with its own personality and culture and ways of working. And and multicultural, right? I can easily say, like many people say, that the secret is always the people and the transformation and the change management, not the technology. Correct. For the sake of the technology. But I would say something probably slightly different on top of that. It starts with our own people, because sometimes we in technology, in digital and technology and IT departments, the majority of our own people is very technology driven. Yes. So they get excited with more technology, more interfaces, more integration, right?
And sometimes it's hard to pass that excitement on some other people from the company.
That's it. And it's also sometimes difficult to tell our own people that's probably too much.
Correct.
Because the transformation success will be dictated by the gap between what you have today and what you will have in the future, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes the bigger the gap is caused by ourselves, because we want everything fully integrated, a lot of features, and
yeah.
So I defend that we should start small. We are all, also when you say digital transformation, for sure a lot of people who will listen to this podcast will think about AI transformation. And yes, we are all learning how to do that. I think it's slightly different than Salesforce.com or S4HANA or other type of transformations, or the internet when it came up in 2000. But back to the question, right? That I think sometimes we ourselves, the specialists, we turn it more difficult than it should be, because we want to do everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a big learning and a recommendation to everybody is less is more. Let's start with what is a staging thing, right? Like in our lives, if you, yes, one thing is if someone, and probably is an extreme example, but one thing is someone dying, the other is someone is sick, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to adapt yourself, and you need to give it that time for people to adapt.
True. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, there is that sentence that says that cultures. What is it? Culture eats strategy at breakfast, no?
Yes.
From Peter Drucker. And I think it's so true in big companies, right? And you say every company is a different human being, and you need first to understand also the inner dynamics, no? Beyond the org chart, what's the real dynamic you have is in the company. So a transformation project, it can be successful. You've been talking about Salesforce.com, and this is something we were mentioning while preparing that episode. I think every company has its own drama story with CRM implementation, starting with a great vision that you can easily sell to an executive committee or a board of director, and then you hit a wall whenever you talk to salespeople, sales support, and the people who actually use it daily, right? And that gap maybe can be connected to what you were saying, right? On the gap from the technological people that want to take cutting edge technology to simplify life, and others that just say, why am I forced to use this instead of sending an email, right? Yeah. Can you please tell the audience, because by experience and by other people I receive in this podcast, I know that many companies are still in the chemical and life science industry in their way to find their best fit of the use of a CRM. Also, it connects with data management. I mean, from your experience doing something similar at Syngenta, maybe you can share some insight. It will be very interesting to hear from you.
Yeah, so first a disclosure, we are not sponsored by Salesforce.com in this podcast.
It can be whatever
right? Now I have Microsoft Dynamics, just for full disclosure. I don't have Salesforce in balance. I think there's when you touch commercial, when you touch go to market, when you touch front end people, is considerably different than when you try to optimize finance or an HR. With all the respect, with all the importance of all of them, yes, of course. When we are talking about commercial, which is typically a CRM topic, you are talking about people that any disturbance has a direct and immediate impact on the number of sales orders that you get, has a direct impact immediately on the quantity of lead generation that you create. So So it is a sensitive area when the topic is CRM specific, which is your question. In my experience, the topic will be always about co-creation and not us with the system integrators and the business integrators defining a beautiful blueprint and putting in front of the people who take the car every day and visit customers, and they say it doesn't make any sense. So for me, co-creation is an important and fundamental concept. There's also this topic of again, start small, right? You need to template it. You need to test it. I remember that was also you sharing that the last time we discussed, Florian. And you need to start small. I give you quite recent, in fact, the example was like 1-2 years ago. I wanted to test one go-to-market approach with a segment of customers that we never touched before. And in order to do that, the first step was to go in Spain and Brazil with sales reps in the car and visiting customers to try to understand similarities and differences between them. Learning, because don't forget, I joined this company February 2024, so it's 2 years and 4 months. To listen, observe, understand the business, the type of customers, the position of the sales rep. And I remember by that time to arrive back in the office and ask my team, we need a beautiful front end that allows us to tackle this customer segment that we don't do today and start to business with them, right? And the immediate question from our people was immediately, how do I integrate that? How do I make sure I integrate with SAP and as a backend and then there's NOP site? I said, no, I don't even know if this is a good idea, right? I just want to test, because I discussed with the sales team and they are very keen. They also believe there's a potential opportunity here, but we don't know. But I can tell you, Florian, and it's my own team, by the way.
Yes.
And after 6 months, I said, okay, guys, it's not the right time. We are all busy with tons of other things, but let's conclude. And I will not give up. It will happen for sure. But I think we struggle in terms of transformation when we want to bring something new like CRM or a customer portal or e-commerce platform. Because you asked about CRM, could be in other areas. We struggle to let's test something small. And then as soon as you have 100 customers on it, then you think about the full shebang of integrations and data flows and governance and all of that. So we have a paper as leaders on digital and technology to understand the business.
A sandbox where you can really...
And having the playground. Playground, right? I call it the incubator. We need an incubator inside, and especially corporations like yours or mine, where there's governance, there's layers, there are hierarchies. We need a playground where we can easily prototype and test something. And that can be something new, or can be a CRM tool that we want to install and we want to start practicing with some real sales reps, and not us imagining that we already know everything, right?
True, it makes perfectly sense. And we have a tend in big corporation to trying to map and think about whatever potential implication of such a project might have everywhere in all the different cases and scenarios before even starting something, right? And this is not the right approach. It's very like focus on the operations, while having a sandbox or a playground, as you say, also enables people to tangibilize something and maybe then doing things different or adding something else or shifting the approach and having a growth and also spending less money, right? Because if you fail fast, you fail cheap, right? And
Perfect. But also changing the culture of our organizations, mine, yours, that we are not an IT execution team. We are paid to think like a business colleague on what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Should I do left or right? Should I start simple or more complex?
Yes.
And that's a transformation that still needs to exist, Florian. I don't think everybody is there yet. For all of our teams, mine inclusively, of think like if you are a sales rep, think like if you are a supply chain planner, think like if you are a R&D scientist, right?
Yes.
So this is so important. Otherwise, we are all engineers. There's this say, I don't know if you heard that. If you have a guy with a hammer, everything is a nail, right?
Yes, true.
Right. And IT people are a bit like that. We all want immediately to tweet everything, right?
True. Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense indeed. And this is also not easy every day to capture that need, to think as a sales rep, right? To do the right iteration, to make co-building to work in agile, right? Within the tech people, business people, getting them together and co-building the vision of the future. And also in the same time in these industries, and I tell you that because I've been working in the travel industry where technological investment go way faster, right? Because it's not an option, right? You have to be on the cutting edge for either e-commerce or the way you manage platform service and so on. And sometimes the feeling I get when I talk to the industry leaders is like they don't have in their mind, like in the budget CEO, what's in the pocket and the budget they have, they are under evaluating what type of investment it would need, for instance, to develop a CRM at scale or to make the necessary investment to get an ERP that is performing, or to developing a platform and so on. So you from your role, you're a C-level, so you've been also spending time within executive committee. How would you say that this is perceived actually, and to get leaders, CFOs, CEOs to actually make the investment, right? To make the necessary investment, having a business case, but what goes beyond the topic of business case?
Yeah, so I saw, of course, that there's different types of CEOs and CFOs. For example, the one I have today is very digital and very data driven. Ivo, he has a very good statement that of making the invisible visible. That's a statement from him, which is all about uncovering and getting the insights from data that exists, but people are simply not leveraging it. And that's valid, by the way, in most of the companies. So that helps when it comes to investment, to innovation, to transformation, right? So, but that's not all the case. And I would be naive if I said that all the executive team is fully engaged and aligned with this direction, right? So, and back to the previous discussion, I think it is up to us also to be able to, if I don't know if you go on the AI topic, Florian, but probably we will. Probably I will introduce it here, and we can come back if you want.
Yes.
But AI is a good example of that. Everybody wants to do AI because the others are doing, and everybody's a fear of missing, right?
There's FOMO, right? Yes.
Right. So what's going on? Everybody's talking about, am I missing something? We need to invest. We need to do fast. But then you realize that there's the foundation in most of the companies is not there, right? Is an ugly word, governance, but let's replace governance with orchestration. Okay, we need to have ownership, right? You need to understand who owns data, because AI will be as successful as the quality of the data you have. Closely connected. And probably one example I see here is that the willingness to invest, but without fully understanding the starting point.
Outcome, right?
And what does it take in terms of investment of people and money to move from where you start to leveraging AI to a significant potential and business value creation, right? And I'm facing a bit of that. And my learning from this story is, again, start small.
Yes.
Expose people to AI. Expose people to a simple copilot. Expose people to a simple AI insights engine that you can prompt internally. Safe environment, not ChatGPT public version, because that's extremely dangerous to expose your internal information there. But play with it, especially on the areas that you feel your data is more under better quality. and you start to gain the trust that what you get from it helps you on your day-to-day life. But always with this perspective of AI is not there to replace you. I think most people use AI to confirm something that you want to be confirmed.
Yes.
Instead of being just a partner, let's call AI a partner. With you test some approaches, you get some insights, but at the end is your decision and not from AI. And
it empowers you at some point. So as soon as you're using AI for your own efficiency, means that you're also accountable for what you deliver, even if it's done with the support of AI, right? And this is something that I'm sure you saw the same, right? When we talk about people and change management, right? On those industries, on the chemical industry lifestyle, I've seen quite a lot of resistance 10 years ago when we were talking about the digital transformation, setting up a CRM, setting up a product information management, setting up a platform and so on. There was a lot of resistance from within. And then with the time, we saw that it got commoditized a bit more. However, on AI level, I see much more willingness to get up to speed from within. And this resistance, I feel it's maybe there is still resistance, but it's done on a different level. It's more on the matter of trust. I think you need to trust the solution that you're playing with, even if it's a solution at the company level or if it's a solution done only for you. And my question to you, thinking about that, and how can we drive this change of mindset, and how can we get also people to feel empowered and not to feeling afraid with what is the outcome. And I think some companies are doing a lot of damage communicating about we've been cutting 100,000 of jobs because of AI automation. I mean, it's sending some red flags, because at some point, if you want this to be successful, you have to play as a network with people from within. And this cannot be the outcome, right? At the end of the day, you remove tasks that are repetitive so you can get to do things that have more added value, And this in a large scale of company, what would be your vision on driving such a level of beyond the technical side, which platform it was, but driving this, like the big story of AI at the company level and also the small story of AI on the people level?
It's all about people, right? I think we all the CIOs and leaders on the technology space, they need to become a bit of psychologists, because the technology is there, no question about. Is far more advanced than the speed companies and organizations or human beings individually are able to absorb it and use it to the maximum potential, right? And you said something interesting, Florian. Why do we have the resistance? The willingness to change or the strength of the resistance is directly linked to how long it takes to see a benefit.
Correct.
True. And that's back to the agile mentality, that's back to the prototyping mentality, that's back to the piloting of things. Because if we go to our organizations and we ask, we are now initiating a transformation program, we need all of you fully committed and involved in workshops, etc. And in 1.5 years, you will see an outcome. Forget that. You lose everybody in the way. So we also need to be smart, to play it smaller for people to see immediately some quick wins, some immediate benefits. And then naturally, you don't need to do anything. They want more because they see that immediate benefits. Now, how do you do in your organizations this type of things? For example, one thing I try to do in mine is I call it the digital champions.
Okay.
What are the digital champions? As a digital and technology organization, you are maximum in, 5-10 locations around the world. But the company operates across 100. So there's an immense number of factories, warehouses, finance departments. There's nobody there, right? You are not seeing what's going on, the opportunities, the risks, the gaps. So for me, the digital champions play an extremely important role as the eyes and the ears of a digital and tech organization in the shop floor, in the warehouse, in the HR department, in the financial department. And they are the ones bringing. So traditionally in every company you have people seeing mistakes or opportunities a lot of times, but sometimes you don't even know with who do I speak to bring this home, to do something about, because there's a team somewhere in headquarters that I don't even know the names. I only know the name of the CIO, right?
Yeah.
So, and for me, the digital champions play a very important community in the organizations I try to set up, because they are like an extension and they are the ones bringing the opportunities, and the other way around also, right? Everything we do in terms of innovation, they are also our best evangelists in the locations where they are to bring that together.
Yes, I mean, completely aligned with you. And those champions actually, maybe I think that they don't have to be the most savvy people, but maybe the one with the most influence, right? They're potentially that person that is in a company for 35 years that has a level of influence maximum in the company while there is no direct management leadership involved, right? If that person is part of the champion and you manage to convince that person to be on it and to drive this, it's a win, right? On the other way around, that person can be your worst detractor, you know?
That's true, but exactly right. In a lot of cases, this network becomes also your change ambassadors. And of course, you need to manage it carefully so that you don't start to have detractors that at the end the consequence is much worse than what you wanted from it. But the majority of the cases, and I have this experience, this is not mandatory, right? So we run a campaign who wants to be a digital champion, people apply for it. And you get you get all type of ages and genders and religions, of course, you get everything very inclusive, but there's a layer of very young, capable, talented people who are born on technology. With these ones, the challenge is the other way around. Guys, wait, slow, because the rest of the organization is not able to follow your speed. But it's fantastic. They want more. And one interesting idea also can share here is in a lot of organizations, sometimes these key talents, they are the invisibles, right? Nobody knows them, right? So we try to drive initiatives like straight to the top, where the best ideas that are coming through the digital champions are at some point in time in a contest to pick the most impactful one. And this is done at the executive committee level.
Wow.
So they get to know the full executive team and vice versa. And this is fantastic, creates these non-hierarchical, easy, informal type of relationship between the different layers of the organization. That's why
it's the top-down approach, right?
It changed thought. Of course, you also need top-down, but you change. That's why a lot of startups are faster. Of course they are, because they don't have all of these layers.
Approvals and
so let's kill the layers. The layers are important in terms of decision making sometimes, right? The higher you go, more experience, different empowerment, different decision making. But for innovation, no, let's cut that lines, bring all together, because that's much faster, right?
That's amazing. So from what you said, it means like when we talk about AI transformation, instead of being something that is still managed from the top, it goes increasingly also driven by real use cases, right? That are coming from the ground, that are coming from that factory, that are identified and potentially scaled, right? And I think that makes a lot of sense because, right, before, if you wanted to run a proof of concept, you needed the developer, right? That's the always number one blocker you have from a great idea to a reality. Okay, I have a great idea now. I need to pitch this, right? So I can get budget, so I can get 2-3 developers to helping me building this app, right? Now you can start doing vibe coding, having a bit of a prototype that can be tangible. And based on that, you will start having some result and scale. So at the end of the day, it opens the door to a tremendous amount of innovation in large scale companies, right? If this championing is done right, I mean, your backlog doesn't have to be managed on the top level, but really is fed from the ground. Exactly, which connects also with the other topic of governance, right? Because that's another adage that will come later.
And the AI is changing the world of who develops. You will get a finance analyst that just joined the company, 25 years old.
Yes.
And I bet with you, if he doesn't build an AI agent faster than the 20 years of experience developer on SAP ABAP coding, right?
Yes, true.
It's
Because
the mindset. It's the mindset. But of course, we need a bit of a framework, orchestration, right? You have 1,000 agents and nobody knows for what. And of course, we need a bit of orchestration and governance on this, but let people play with it instead of trying to govern and control. That's European Union versus US, right? Let it run, right? People play and they do, and startups and they try, and European Union is the other way around. Let's first think about how to regulate this before people start playing with it. So, but let's don't go political. That's not the intention of
no, but
this
I mean,
podcast.
it also makes me reflecting on this. Like in Europe, I mean, in France, we say a developer, right? In Spain, the equivalent one for developing a platform, developing a solution. When in the US, they call about software engineer. It matches with what's going on today, right? You're the engineer of the software you want to get. It doesn't mean that you develop it by yourself. You engineer by vibe coding, you engineer by any other way, So it's like, even on the semantic, you see a different approach, right? Where here it's really like, who is in the house of the machines, who in the house of the people? This concept of software engineer, like you're in both at the same time, right?
That's a very good reflection, because for people who come from SAP, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of technology people listen to this podcast, we create a model since 30 years that there's a developer, there's a functional expert, there's a solution designer, there's an architect. So for you to develop a simple functionality, you need 5 people.
True.
We need to break that, right? Because now there's technology that translates, that codes, and probably 1.5 instead of 5 can do the same, and much less handovers, much less mistakes on the handover, and much faster, right? So I don't know. I feel, Florian, AI is bigger than internet. It's like an industrial revolution, right? And we are just starting to realize,
touching the surface, right?
Correct. Is at the beginning all.
And I mean, and once again, this podcast is sponsored by no one, right? But you've been saying that you've been working with Dynamics on the CRM, and the Copilot solution is getting better and better. And I do feel that Copilot is a kind of tool that democratizes everything that is outside, right? So at first, like on the chatbot, then the assistant, now more and more with the agents, like, AI for dummies tool, and it helps you to do it in the corporate world, in the safe world, in the regulated world. And what we see is like more and more the newest solution from Anthropic, like Cowork and Cloudwork and so on, are getting embedded within Copilot. But this is tremendous. I mean, it's mind-blowing when you think about all people using Copilot worldwide, getting access through their company to do solutions into their work environment. I mean, I think the speed will be tremendous, and the level of adoption and the cases that will come out of it will be insane. And I'm just asking now the CIO, right? Someone that comes many different technologies coming around. How do you see? And now it's more like I will ask you to bring your crystal ball and to see, like, how do you foresee the evolution of the costs of this technology moving forward? The cost of AI. When are we going to pay the actual cost of AI, and what does that mean when it's about building budget in large corporations?
It's a difficult question. I think that there will be phases. There will be a first phase where the benefit is so high that nobody will care. It will be much bigger than the investment and the cost of it. Because the data is there, the inefficiency is there. The amount of people running zero value adding tasks is also there. So for me, most companies there will be an initial phase after you start trusting and adopting. And of course, this will depend from company to company. But as soon as you reach that certain level of trust and adoption, the impact will be huge and much bigger than the investment. Now, like any technology, then there will be a subsequent phase. What's next? more algorithms, more LLMs, better ontologies of data, right? And people will be demanding, and there will be at some point in time, it's not anymore a matter of what else can I get more from this data, right? And I'm afraid that it's probably leveling up, and there will be a phase that may even go down when you have so many hallucinations, if you don't have the right human in the loop for decision making. Yes. AI is a bionic arm. It doesn't replace one of your arms, right? It's just a third one. And there will be a mistrust at some point in time. So that's the way I see it, Florian. I got a very interesting question.
You talk about the hallucination. Maybe the more we go, the harder it will be to find the hallucination, right? I mean, the less obvious will be the hallucination.
Let me, yes, it will be more difficult to identify because you feel you trained the model. No, I already trained for all potential hallucinations, right? Let me give you a tangible example of that. We use AI Insights engine for some formula optimization because we have a bill of materials on production of a specific product is complex, and then you try to optimize the number of formulas and the raw materials that you use for each of these finished products, etc. And the engine was working, and in the meantime we corrected, right? It was working fantastically. But at some point in time, you don't understand why in some cases, between countries, between regions, between factories, the value is not the same. And then you realize about one thing that the model was not considering. You thought like it's an hallucination. No, there was an important parameter on the model, on the AI model, that was not considered, which was in Brazil, the factory is warmer than in Switzerland. And this impacts the chemical value, the effect of a specific substance, especially when it is chemicals and you are in the chemical industry also. And this was not considered from the beginning from AI. It's fantastic, right? So, and the parameter. Can you identify it from scratch? Probably not. It's just when you start to correlate input and impact, and you see that the input is the same and the impact is different. Why? It's hallucinating. It was not. So and then you train and you correct the model and it keeps learning, right?
True. That's a great example, actually, because this is also the reason why, as you say, it's a bionic tool. That means like we need to keep always the human in the loop, right?
Yeah.
And the LLMs are not able to, at the end of the day, there is no kind of replacement, right? I mean, if you think a bit outside the different cases, how many humanoid robots we are hearing and talking about, and none of them is actually useful, right? It's all pre-programmed tool, or the cars, right? The level of autonomy of the cars is still limited, right? How the human can learn how to drive in 6 months, while the machine is hundreds of billions of line of code still not able to do so. So you're right. Like there is a certain limitation that shows us that even if you're looking an outlook towards the future, this human in the loop is still there. Good, Marcio. I think we are reaching the conclusion, the end of our podcast. I think it's a fantastic discussion that we could keep having. Many hours, specifically on the Friday afternoon. We just need to have an aperitivo or something with us, and we can continue this until many hours. As a conclusion note, what, as per your position and also seeing your company and things that are happening, what will be the biggest change that we might see over the next 6 months?
Well, my company is obvious. From January onwards, we will have a new ownership. So it will be a totally new company with a new name, with a new executive team, with the beginning of a new life, is a new chapter in the story of animal nutrition and health. In the 6 months, it's a very short timelines for
by the end of the year.
By the end of the year, right? So I don't know. My wish on the next 6 months, Florian, is something to the world that we stop this bullshit of wars and fights and competition, right? We live in a fantastic world. where technology is of a great help to make our life easier and better.
Yes.
But it seems we're always finding a problem, right? We're always finding a reason why not to enjoy the best that we have, right? So that will be my wish for the next 6 months. Probably wanted a more technology CIO speech here, but that's what comes to mind.
No, but I mean that's and you've been talking and you've been repeating also so many times the concept of people, right? Change management. I mean, that's fantastic to hear someone from you with an engineering background, because you're, before being a tech leader, you're a humanist, right? And you talk about people, you talk about transformation, change, technology for good. And I think it also connects very well with the that book that you've been participating to, right? Which is what was the what when you can say to your audience the name again?
Lead with AI, stay human.
Yeah,
it's a good title. Right? It's a good title.
I'll say it in a sentence, and I think it's a great way to close this that episode. Thank you so much, Marcio, for making yourself available for this podcast, acknowledging the high level of work and transition that you're going through, and we wish you the best for what is going on for the next 6 months and beyond. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective on this fascinating topic. Thank you so much, Marcio.
Thank you, Florian. Have a great evening and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you very much. And for everybody which is watching us and listening to us, thank you so much for listening the entire episode. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, follow the Digital Chemical Playbook. Learn more at DKSH Discover, and you can find this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon. Bye.